play for my recording for people. So the rubric is attached right here in Wednesday's folder with the Starburst project. So I would download that into Notability today just so you have it and you have it ready to go, because that's what you'll turn in when you finish this week. So to review, Monday you had your colored pencil technique drawing and your colored pencil in action, which was supposed to be any dessert you wanted. Yesterday was patterns. And again, you were to break up your paper any way you wanted, whether you wanted to draw a picture and add patterns or draw whatever you wanted to do to create your patterns. So today we are going to talk about our final project, which is, I call it a Starburst. And the cool thing is everybody's will be different, even though you all are using the exact same process. So your goal is to create a one-of-a-kind Starburst where each section has its own pattern and you have a background of some sort. So you can see this is actually from Try 1.1, and you can see that this student's background is a colored pencil like shading, which is really, really well done with a black colored pencil. And then you can see that inside their Starburst, every section has a different pattern. Some of them have like colored pencil techniques. Some of your Starburst sections are going to be really small, kind of like this one up here. So it's totally fine if it's just like a solid color or like a gradient with your colored pencil. But your goal is, as you can see, this is an entire sheet of sketch paper. Your goal is to make your Starburst as large as possible. And I will obviously, obviously explain to you how to do that. Your lines need to be straight, which means you need a ruler or a straight edge. You literally could use the side of a cereal box. So if you, or like a side of any sort of cardboard box, like let's say that you made a cake and you have a cake mix. If you open up that box, you get a straight edge. So anything, like I could use my clipboard. You could use the side of a folder. You could use the side of your sketchbook, like if you take the paper out. So you need straight lines if you want full credit. So if you do not have access to a ruler, there's lots and lots of ways you can get a straight edge because we're not measuring anything. You need to outline those lines. So if you look at this final project here, they're outlined with, this person used a black colored pencil. I would even maybe start with just doing it with the color, like with a dark colored pencil, so you don't have to double, if that makes sense. You don't pencil and then have to re-go over it, if you feel confident that way. And then each section will have its own pattern. And so how this works, and I guess I should have put this on here for the expectations. So again, watch your coloring skills, because craftsmanship is a huge part of your grade. You want to make sure this fills up the space. Each section has a different pattern. You're using your colored pencil techniques and you have a background, okay? Now, this is how everything gets turned in. Your rubric will look like this, except the backgrounds are completely black. So they're basically blank Polaroids that you will put your pictures on, okay? So it tells you colored pencil, pattern, colored pencil in action, and your final Starburst. You'll turn this sheet in to Schoology as your unit. So I have a video on literally how to do the Starburst if you're someone who needs to watch a video. So those are step-by-step instructions. Sometimes in the video, the focusing is really, really weird because it's trying to focus on my hands and then the paper, it's kind of confused on what to focus on. So sometimes it's hard to see the dots, but it makes sense if you watch it. I also have pictures, step-by-step instructions for pictures. Now, how you do this, it's actually way easier than it looks, and that's one thing I love about this project, is that it looks super intricate and difficult, but it's not. You will need to start with 2 large dots on your paper anywhere. I like to start mine farther apart than these, so like over here and down here. So you need 2 large, and I'm not talking like huge, but like large enough that you can distinguish between your smaller dots. So you're going to want to draw 15 to 20 all over your paper. Now, a couple of reasons you want this large. Number 1, it looks better. And number 2, it's easier. I've had people who have tried to like skimp and make these tiny ones, and then you can't see their patterns, you can't see their colored pencil technique, and then their grade goes down because they're like, that's a big part of it, is the patterns, the colored pencil technique, the craftsmanship, the lines are crooked. So 2 large dots, 15 to 20 smaller ones, and just, you want to spread that out on your whole page. Okay, so the more space you have, like the more dots that spread out, the easier this will be. You are then, this is where it gets a little confusing, but if you watch the video and if you look through these pictures after I talk about it, it'll make sense to you. So every small dot goes to both big dots. You do not connect any small dots to each other, and you do not connect the large dots to each other. So to recap, each small dot goes to both large dots. So that would be the first one. Okay, and now I go to the second small dot, and you connect it to the large dots. And then you go to the next small dot and connect it to the large dots. And then you end up with a large starburst. Now, some of your areas, like I said, are going to overlap. You're going to have some tiny areas, like this one here is really small. And that happens. It's not a big deal. So you want to fill up your space. You want to make sure your lines are straight, that they're outlined with a dark color. You are more than welcome to start drawing it with a black skinny Sharpie or a black colored pencil or a blue colored pencil, so you don't have to re-outline, but your lines need to be straight, and you want to fill up your whole space. You want the background, and then you want patterns in each section. I have some, more pattern ideas in here for you. I have some examples of other students' work in here for you. This has been really fun to see what people have come up with, where they've gone with certain, things, and like to show you, like this particular person's grade was probably not as high as like this person's grade. They have all white in the background. They have like stars, but they probably should have added something else. Our goal is to not have white left on our paper for this project. Here's another one. I really like, they did theirs in marker. So again, they didn't follow instructions. However, I like to show you the examples. I love these waves. So cool. This whole thing you want done in colored pencil. That's the whole point this week, is all of our colored pencil skill. So you can see the progression. This is probably one of the most beautiful colored pencil like gradients I have seen from an 8th grader. I was like so impressed by this. So cool. But I just love the way, like the weighted lines that people used. This one, the background's a little sloppy, but I do love the foreground. Like I love the starburst and their patterns. So this, you could fix this easily by going back over it with your colored pencil, and like doing circular motion to make it look smooth. So there's ways to fix all of that. I like how this person like outlined it and did different things. Like they did such a great job. Some people are putting like real drawings patterns in their work. So these mountains are a pattern. These like, I don't know if they're ferns, they're a pattern. There's flowers here. Remember, like real objects can also be patterns if you have multiple, if they repeat. So you can add real objects to your drawings. Like they have bunnies in here, which I love. This particular student put like these bunnies in like all their work. They have hearts. Super cool. So this is not due, like today's Wednesday, and you guys have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week to work on this, because this is like a final project. So if you remember being in art class in 6th grade, some of our projects, like our final projects, would take us like 1 or 2 weeks. I don't know if you remember, our folder project took us a long time. So this particular project, I want to make sure you have the time to complete it. And if we were in school, I would give you that time, if that makes sense. Like I'd give you multiple days to work on this. Some of you might still need time to work on the pattern sketch and on your colored pencil sketches. Some of you might think, okay, wait a minute, maybe I need to go and work on my craftsmanship because I was rushing. You have lots of time now this week to complete this. Does this make sense to everybody of what your expectations are on how to do this?
So we have all of this week. Do we have any, is it due like Monday next week?
It's due Sunday evening because we start over. So every Monday we start fresh on a new unit. And so for me personally,
Okay.
I don't like having things like hanging in the background. Does that make sense? Like, so I like to start fresh so everyone can start on Monday and we're done with this week. all of our work's turned in, so we don't have stuff that we're waiting on to turn in.
Okay.
So if you get it done by Friday, awesome. Please still come to meet Thursday and Friday. I will be quick. Friday, we do have a discussion, so I'll also talk about that. But this is your studio time for your final project. If you have any questions about the Starburst, because I know sometimes it can get confusing, if you need to practice it, and you have like, even just, this is where you could practice it on lined paper just so you get down the concept on how to do it. Absolutely. So then that way you're like, okay, this makes sense, because some kids dive in and it makes perfect sense, but sometimes it takes a minute to really grasp like how to create it, because it's very mechanical. But if you don't have questions and this makes sense to y'all, you can go work on it. If you have not done the art quiz, please complete that. And if you didn't do your discussion yesterday, please complete that. I will be going through the gradebook today. And I'll be here, if you need anything, jump back on or send me a message. I did fix attendance. Thank you for those of you who reached out and told me the attendance was wrong. It's one thing about when you copy and paste, there's lots of steps in Schoology, and sometimes I miss one. So thank you for telling me. But yeah, you guys can go work. I'll be here if you need anything. Or you can stay on and work. It's whatever you want to do.